Hello everyone. In this presentation, I will talk about the changing scenario in education in the face of rapidly changing world of information and the economy that requires critical and innovative thinking. Teachers should recognize that today's students learn in ways that are different from how we learn. The question that we are going to examine is, how can traditional modes of classroom instruction engage and inspire students when life outside the classroom has changed so dramatically? We are all too familiar with a traditional classroom scenario. Teachers are always at the front of the room, providing knowledge, giving instruction, demonstrating something, asking questions, and evaluating the students' responses and performance. In this scenario, the students are relatively passive recipients of knowledge and expect the teacher to be totally in charge of their learning. This is what we term teacher-centered learning. But what is the problem with traditional teacher-centered approach, and why should we promote a student-centered approach? Let us examine the scenario in a teacher-centered classroom. In a classroom, teacher is always seen as having a higher status than student. Teachers are regarded as the second parents whose mission is not only to impart knowledge, but also to teach morals and mold the students to be good citizens in society. Teacher is also regarded as a guru, who possesses great knowledge, and the classroom is seen as the place where all knowledge disseminates. As such, it goes without saying that in the learning process, the teacher, not the learner, is placed right in the center. In other words, teacher is the focus of attention. Another aspect of teacher-centered practice is the assumption that everyone in the classroom learns the same way. Unfortunately, however, such teaching practice has a major downside, because it has shaped learners to be passive recipients who merely listen, memorize, and absorb the information transferred by the teacher, rather than critically evaluating and synthesizing the outcome of the learning process. Students are not trained to exercise their analytical, critical, and reflective thinking. This education system does not develop students to become independent learners who recognize that knowledge is constructed in many ways. Students may not be able to see the value of learning, realize that learning is a lifelong process, and understand that there's no one else but themselves be responsible for their own learning. For most of the students, learning is about studying to pass the examination and score a good grade. To keep abreast with the rapidly changing world of information and the economy that requires critical and innovative thinking, we need to empower the students. We need to enable them to think critically and independently, and be responsible and involved in their learning. Students need to be self-directed and become active players in the academic learning enterprise. There's a need for a paradigm shift both on the part of teachers and learners. We should view knowledge as something that can be constructed, teaching as a means to provide an environment that is most conducive to learning, and learning as the process of learning how to learn. Thus, based on the new concept, teachers and students need to modify their new roles to fit the learning process. Just like John Dewey says, if we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow. I will stop here for now. In the second part, I will talk about student-centered learning and the changing role of teachers and students to achieve effective learning. Follow this blog for update or follow me on Twitter. Bye for now.